All right, so this week we are going to talk about real estate investing. Cheers. As far as life design and enjoying what we do and enjoying what we talk about, my whole philosophy around design your reality is building some of these foundational conversations around money and investing. And today we're going to talk about real estate and rental properties. And in the upcoming weeks, we're going to talk about travel and retirement. So those are kind of the, surrounding topics around design your reality. And I really try to take you and potentially your friends, let's elevate us girls and get really comfortable about talking about money, making money, loving money, and enjoying and designing the ideal reality that we want to live. So that's my passion. That's what I love to talk about. That's what I love to help empower women to be able to do. And hi, Eleanor. Thanks for joining again today. We've known each other for 20 plus years. So she's watched me be on this journey around rental properties, money, real estate, and now trying to share what I've learned and helping people design their reality. So today, with talking about real estate rental properties, I want to take you a bit on a journey back to where I learned about rental properties, and that is with my loving Uncle Don. So any of you who are following me, you'll hear me talk about my Uncle Don and the journey I've had with him in my life. He's a big part of my story because he probably does the rental property business to a pretty good ideal state. Not that I expect people to do what he did, but if we could, we'd be really smart. He thinks a little bit differently about real estate, and back when he graduated from Dorset College here in Ontario, he flew to Australia. So the reason why that's kind of important is because here in Canada, we can get mortgages and we can put, small down payments down on our personal properties. If we're doing rental properties, it's 20% down, and then we can mortgage as long as we have the income to be able to get the mortgage. Now, when he moved to Australia, he's not a citizen, so he wouldn't have had the opportunity to be able to get mortgages. And then the fascinating thing is that he had a job that was testing the gas line across the country of Australia. So he really didn't have or need a permanent residence. And what he did is, as he got his paychecks and saved up money, he bought houses. And because he couldn't have a mortgage, just the same like if you were buying properties in the US or Costa Rica or Ecuador or Europe, if you're a Canadian, it's actually I'd say it's pretty much not possible to get a mortgage unless it's from some private money or something. But traditional mortgages from banks not going to happen. So you have to have the cash, you got to pay for the house, and then from there you can rent the house out and earn income. So back, I don't want to totally age my uncle, but 45 years ago, he'll probably correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I want to say 45 years ago, he purchased his first house. Now, back 45 years ago, that was like a $30,000 house he bought his first one, I think it was in Mackay. So he bought his first house, and then he got a tenant and he rented that house out and earned his little bit of trickle income from that house. And then he kept doing his job, made more money, bought the next house, then bought the next house, then bought the next house. And he just continued to do that. And essentially he retired when he was 45 years old with a very nice 6+ figure income from his rental properties. Now, I love my uncle because he always just uses the phrase that he's playing houses. And I think of, Monopoly, and I think of when we're kids, we played, the game of life. And today, there isn't too many of those new games. Robert Kawasaki, who's definitely, would love to be the female version of him. He has the cashflow game, which is great, and encourage anyone to download and order it for your kids. But most of those games really are, if you look at how the rich people get rich, there's usually an element of real estate and rental properties. So, almost go revisit the game of Monopoly, but if you actually don't carry any mortgages on your rental properties, it is a unbelievably fast-track way to grow net worth, create passive income, literally, and play houses. So because of his journey and his experience, and he really has this like completely beautiful lifestyle where he plays houses and he travels and across the country, visits his rentals, fixes something up here and there. And now as he's gotten older, he definitely pays people to renovate kitchens and do the work, but it has created a very lovely, he is his own boss and it creates him money. So he is a good example of a successful real estate investor, but I don't even think if you met him, he would even refer to himself as that. So he's like the ideal because he never carried the mortgages on the homes. Now, from what I've learned from him and myself, I live in Canada and I started buying rental properties 25 years ago, definitely trying to, I guess, be like my uncle. A lot of my philosophies probably come from him. He's been very influential in my life. Thank you very much, Uncle Don. One day I hope to be as financially free and loving life like you do, traveling the world, in just enjoying it. And I mean, you've been retired now for 30 years. And you still play houses and you just have fun with the whole process of it. So it's definitely the track that I loved as part of my design of my own reality. And I really am so grateful that you taught me about rental properties from such a young age. Here in Canada, we have to put 20% down and then essentially the same math works. So there's many different types of rental properties. You could do student rentals. You could do single family homes. You can get into, 4plexes, 6plexes, 12plexes. You'll hear real estate investors talk about the number of doors they own. So sometimes you can get more doors if you own more larger, multi-doored units. But again, it's all about how much money you have, what your net worth is, how much income you're making, and how you can actually mortgage and support your rental property investments. Now, I'm huge on not over leveraging. I think again, that comes from my uncle's philosophy. I've watched him. He's got some great stories where, he's owned one of his homes, they were, taken over by Aboriginals years ago and literally even burnt the house down in the end. But he didn't get rent through those couple of years. They were, it was just like a, 5, 6, maybe it was a 10-year period of time. But because he didn't have mortgages, he wasn't worried about cash flow. So when you think about cash flow, it's always about, in a bad time, not having to react and sell the assets. Because there's a fine line. If you get strapped in the cash flow, then the most wonderful strategies around rental property and owning rental properties ends up getting kind of crushed because you have to sell the house and then you're paying fees and you've lost the investment and you've lost the income and you're a little bit back to square one. So a huge key in owning rental properties, in my opinion, and it's something that is part of my teaching in my workshop to show you how the math works, how to actually buy it. I'm going to share my own numbers on July 9th with anyone that joins the workshop. And I've broken it down into 4 steps to be able to actually get into the game. And really showing you how much money you have to save. And I don't think it's out of reach of pretty much anyone that's got a good enough job, like a decent job, or a couple that's got a job, or you've got some equity that you've built up in your home. It'd be about the equivalent of buying a trailer. So lots of people out there go and buy a trailer and they could have bought a rental property and literally paid for 10 trailers over time and created income. And it's kind of that rich dad would take the 30 grand and buy a rental property versus the poor dad would take the 30 grand and buy a trailer or a truck. So that is what the whole workshop is going to outline for everybody. And hopefully today, just the story of my uncle and the concept of actually how you're successful in owning rental properties is all about long-term, strategically, like making sure you've got your cash flow, making sure you have the right tenants. Like there's lots of fear around how to do rental property ownership and managing it. And I'm all about doing things passively from my corporate background. It's about having the right team. It's about having the right processes. It's about certainly understanding the math. You always have to manage your own life, right? It comes back to you are the CEO of your life. You are the CEO of your rental property business. That is your business. So you have to behave and act and take responsibility as the business owner of your life. And if you do that, then you're just managing and you're really watching your business grow. And it's very, very passive, and it's actually very, very simple. So it's probably the least amount of work I do for probably the most amount. Yeah, last year it created me more equity and net worth than my telecom consulting business. So, and design to reality. So, yeah, it's kind of fascinating. I'm gonna look at actually buying another rental property because it's just like, it's actually not difficult, and it's a wonderful way to make your money grow. So I would love to share everything I've learned over the last 25 years, and it probably for like my whole life because of my uncle. He was kind enough to sit down and share with me his spreadsheets and talk to me about money and talk to me how it worked. And I guess that is where I was aware and able to, jump in my 20s and buy my first student rental. So with that being said, there's a summary that I put together this week again. So if you click the link below, you can get this week's summary, or you can comment to me and I'll send it to you on Messenger. And hopefully you'll join me on July the 9th from 7 to 8, where I'm going to, for the second time, do my rental properties workshop, and you guys will be completely set up to buy your first rental property. So enjoy the rest of today, and thank you again for watching. Next week I'm gonna be on vacation because in my design of life I like to go away, and I'm gonna take a week off, and then I'm gonna come back, and the next series is gonna be all about travel. So we're gonna have 4 weeks, and I've got some good content, and I really just want to share with you many different ideas around traveling and all the different ways that we can travel like rock stars and enjoy our life. So until next time, I'm Tracy, and this is how we design our reality together. Have a great afternoon.